Hey guys, Lord here, back in with another action figure adjacent, we'll say, review, because today we'll be taking a look at the biker mice from Mars, Moto's Mondo Chopper, courtesy of the fine folks over at Nacel, who were kind enough to send me this piece to review as quote-unquote compensation for the quality control issue I had with my Vinny figure, which, depending on when this is uploaded, you may or may not have already seen my review of him. That said, those of you wondering who is Moto, it is this guy right here, my favorite of the biker mice. I mean, you can't go wrong with a robot arm and an eye patch, can you? Not for nothing, he's also pretty much bare-chested with just some trap jaw plate armor going on too, so very, very cool. But yes, the fine folks over at Nacel did send me this piece free of charge, so I figured at the very least I'll leave a link in the description below to the Nacel shop where you can head on over there and get your own Mondo Chopper. And I'm also going to quickly flash this card they sent me promoting their RoboForce series on Tubi. There you go. If I had it upside down, there you go again. But there's a little QR code thingy there. You can scan it, and it should take you right to the show. I might have to check that out now that I know that the people over at Nacel are pretty freaking cool, not gonna lie. So, with that being said, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all the Mondo Chopper has to offer in terms of accessories. Starting off with the funny one. Comes with a Wiener Schnitzel. And yeah, why do the bikes come with hot dogs? I don't know. Because Nacel likes to, and I quote, include a lot of fucking accessories. So, there you go. We got a couple of effects for the pipes on the back. These ones on the top here. Not so much these ones on the bottom. They don't fit in those. But you get two of those. They're exactly the same. In lieu of a kickstand, you do get this smoke effect. The back wheel will rest in this, and then the bike will be able to sit up. And we also get this interchangeable front end with a couple shooty pew-pews popping out of it, so that is pretty cool. I will say this goes on a little easier than that. I actually carefully heated that up. I put my hairdryer on medium, and I was able to get it on there. But be mindful when you do that, because I'm not 100% sure if this clear plastic is acrylic or not. I don't think it is. It does not feel like acrylic, but if it is, don't heat it up too much. You might warp it. So with that being said, let's take a closer look at the Mondo Chopper. And yes, it does not have a kickstand. That's probably my only gripe with this thing, other than this front end being a little tricky to get on there. But as you can see, once it's on there, it stays on there pretty darn good. But it does have a little wiggle room there, but not a ton. Of course, the bike does roll back and forth. Kind of reminds me of the first appearance Ghost Rider bike with this big piece sticking out the back. That does feel a little bit flimsy maybe, but I'm not worried about it. The front does turn. It's got like the squishy wheels, or tires I should say, and it does have a button on the gas tank so it can light up. Very, very cool. Battery compartments on the bottom. Would have been kind of cool if I had some sound effects and maybe a pullback feature so it could go woo. But I like it quite a bit. I think for the price point of what, 35 bucks is it? You're getting what you're paying for. I think they did a good job. Once again, you got the pipes in the back for the effects. And yeah, I will say, as far as getting Moto on this thing. It's not too difficult, but it's a little tricky the first time. But once you figure it out, it's not too hard. I will say I think it's funny, the front end and this piece on top of the, I guess if you want to call that the seat, kind of look like mouse heads. But I guess that makes sense since they are biker mice from Mars, and not to be confused with surfer cats from Saturn. Sam Hill that is. But propping that up, that's about all I gotta say about the Mondo Chopper. It's definitely one of the best bikes I've messed with at this scale. It doesn't really get better than this for me. I think as a kid I would have loved this thing, but yeah, really solid, really solid bike. And I have a lot of Ghost Rider bikes to choose from, so that's saying something. But bringing in Brother Mandibilith right here, as well as the infamous 11 Spawn, because we got to stay on brand with our comparisons and knock Brother Man drunk ass over. All right, freaking jerk off. There. What he would look like on this. I don't want to stretch his hands out though. I will say I did manage to get my Moto on here without messing up the hands. I know some people have a hard time with the paint and whatnot, but I didn't, thankfully, and hopefully won't, because I do plan on putting Moto back on this thing for my display, at least, because you can't have biker mice from Mars without their bikes. So yeah, I guess a quick bit of story time before we wrap this up. I hit up Nacel about Vinny having a janky arm right around Comic-Con season, so they were kind of preoccupied with that. Whatever. I managed to fix my Vinny figure, but they got back to me after Comic-Con and still wanted to make it right, and I'm like, well, I do need the bikes still, can't find them. So they were nice enough to send me this one, because I told them Moto was my favorite. And I like choppas. Granted, this isn't really a chopper. I think a chopper is supposed to be way more extended than this, but I digress. So with that being said, it's time now that we move right along and wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and what else can I possibly say about this good old Mondo chopper that I haven't already said throughout the duration of this review, other than when it comes to motorcycles, I think the fine folks over at Nacel kill it, because as I mentioned before, I'm gonna mention again, this is by far one of the best motorcycles I've messed with between the 6 to 7 inch scale. And being a big Ghost Rider fan, that says a lot, because I got a lot to choose from Toy Biz, Hasbro, Mezco, possibly others. There are options out there for me, personally. However, if I did have a couple of nitpicky things to mention about this bike, it's the lack of a kickstand, and the front end could be a little easier to interchange. Maybe if Nacel were to go back and make another production run of these, they could make those front end pieces a little softer so they're much easier to swap. But other than that, I had no problems getting Moto seated on the bike. I had no problems getting his hands on the handlebars despite how thick they were and how stiff the hands are. I really love this piece. I can't stress that enough. And it's not just because Nacel sent me one. I thoroughly enjoy this piece. And once again, I will leave a link in the description below so you can pick one up for yourself on the Nacel site. Again, they're not telling me what to say in this review. I just genuinely love this thing. Definitely putting Moto in my top 13 action figures of 2020 FEWA video, whenever I get around to doing that, of course. now that I have this piece. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.